All right, the summer of CM Punk, 2005. All right, the first show of the summer of Punk was Death Before Dishonor 3. Austin Aries in the middle of a great ROH World Title reign. I must say, I thought he was a great champion. I thought all of his matches were at least 3 3/4 stars. By the way, just want to throw that out there. All right, so CM Punk versus Austin Aries. Most of the crowd thought CM Punk would just win the belt and then forfeit it in the ring and then give a speech and then go to WWE. But you know, him and Aries had a great match. The crowd was really into it. They were going back and forth. Very good crowd support here. I think the wrestling is very underrated here. I think it's a definite 5-star match. Very emotional stuff. CM Punk actually won the match with a Pepsi plunge, and so yeah, CM Punk was crowned the new ROH champion. However, he kind of swerved the fans. This is excellent booking. I don't think anyone. I mean, if you saw this live, I mean, you got to see probably the greatest moment in ROH history. I mean, it was just crazy stuff. And then Punk kind of said that he wasn't gonna forfeit the ROH World Title. He was pretty much going to go to WWE. He was going to take this belt, and he pretty much said that he's responsible for making ROH what it is. I mean, it was just a great speech, and really just a very, very crazy moment. This is just must-see stuff. This is a must-see show for any CM Punk fan. You know, as the show was going on, he would actually talk about some of the best moments that he's had in ROH. So yeah, I mean, this is just a must-have for any CM Punk fan. Then some other matches. You had AJ Styles actually return for this show to face Petey Williams. Not that good. Then you had Samoa Joe and Colt Cabana in the pure title match. I mean, the rest of the show is pretty average, but really the thing that makes this show must see is the main event and the aftermath with CM Punk. All right, so the next show is called Sign of Dishonor. Sign of Dishonor is probably the weakest show in the summer of Punk as far as wrestling goes. However, it does have CM Punk was great on the show on the mic. I mean, it has one of his best promos ever where he signed the WWE contract on the ROH World Title, and then at the same time he talked about how you know, he's responsible for making ROH what it is, and if it wasn't for CM Punk, then AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels would have no ROH to come back to. And he makes a great point. And I forgot to talk about it. After his speech, Christopher Daniels came out of Death Before Dishonor 3, and that was a great moment too when they saw Daniels out there. I mean, it was just really, really heated stuff. Yeah, and then Punk actually had a promo with Mick Foley in the ring before his match with Jay Lethal. I thought that was an excellent confrontation between Punk and Foley. And then you had Punk and Jay Lethal. They had their little match. This was not a good match, really. I mean, I thought Punk could have done more to extend it and put Lethal over a little bit more. It could have went a little bit longer. It really didn't do anything for Lethal. It was kind of like a semi-squash. I just thought it ended too early. But the other great match, there is a great match on this show, though. It's Samoa Joe versus Homicide versus James Gibson versus Austin Aries, a four-way survival match. I thought that was really good stuff. But, you know, everything else in the show is pretty much disappointing as far as the wrestling goes. All right, so the next up is Escape from New York, another great show. Okay, so you had Samoa Joe and Austin Aries for the ROH Pure title. I thought that was an excellent match, another great match between those two guys. Colt Cabana and Nigel McGuinness had their worst match on the show with European rules stuff. Homicide and Jay Lethal was really good, very underrated, pretty much great stuff between those two guys. Then you had CM Punk actually handpicked Roderick Strong to defend the belt against. And him and Strong had an excellent match. This is really fast-paced. It was pretty stiff. I thought Punk worked a very... I thought he carried... he didn't really carry Strong through. He didn't carry him, but he pretty much dictated the pace. And I just thought he performed beautifully in this match, CM Punk. Both these guys, I thought it was great. Very underrated stuff. All right, so that's Escape from New York. Setting up the next show is called Fate of an Angel. Obviously, you can see Matt Hardy and Christopher Daniels on the cover. A really good show for WWE and TNA fans to start off with. So you had Claudio Castagnoli making his ROH debut against Nigel McGuinness here. What else? You had AJ Styles and Roderick Strong. I thought they stole the show. An excellent match between those two guys. Samoa Joe and Jimmy Rave for the Pure title was decent. And then you had Matt Hardy and Christopher Daniels. Probably the weakest Matt Hardy match of his ROH tenure. But they just didn't do anything special. But it was still a pretty cool match to see. The ending was pretty good. And then you had CM Punk and James Gibson for the ROH title. Probably the most underrated CM Punk title match from the summer of Punk. Him and Gibson just had a slugfest. It was very good storytelling. Really good stuff. So check it out, Fate of an Angel. There's like you get 4 matches in a row that are at least 3.5 stars. So I really enjoyed the show. It's I think Honor Hammer 26 said this is his favorite ROH show, actually, or one of his favorites. Okay, the Homecoming. We have AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels returning to Philadelphia. And, okay, so what about this show stands out? The 6-man war was pretty good. You had Alex Shelley turning heel. He actually joined the embassy. He had one of the best quotes of the year. He said, "I didn't sell out, I bought in." And I thought that was a great... and it was definitely time for Shelley to turn, because Aries and Strong were getting really hot, and Shelley was just getting stale, so I thought that worked. You had AJ Styles and Jimmy Rave. They had a street fight. Obviously, Styles and Rave had a great feud during this time. Because you had Jimmy Rave actually using or stealing AJ Styles' finisher. So I thought that was a great feud. This is probably their best match in ROH together. And then you have CM Punk and Christopher Daniels. It was an ROH title match. It went to a 60-minute time limit. A lot of people don't like this match, and I could see why, and I'm not really that high on it as well. For the 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes, they just didn't do anything special. There's nothing you could really talk about that they did that was special. I mean, it was very methodical. Punk really dictated the pace. You know, it was kind of reminiscent of the final battle match between Aries and Black, but even Aries and Black, they did a lot more things that were memorable than Punk and Daniels did. However, I would say that the last 10 minutes of this match were extraordinary. It was really good stuff, and the fans were really into. The thing about this was the fans were really into it. They showed this match a lot of respect. They really supported Christopher Daniels here. It was they did not crap on it at all. They were into the match 100%. So that's the biggest difference here. Okay, so that went to a 60-minute time limit. So then we had CM Punk defending the title at Redemption against Christopher Daniels, James Gibson, and Samoa Joe. This is a show from Dayton, and obviously this is where James Gibson actually won the ROH World title. It was a very emotional match. You had Daniels and Joe started their feud. Daniels and Joe, they started their feud on this show, or they kind of rekindled their feud. So it came down to Punk and Gibson, and Gibson did the Gibson bomb, or Gibson driver off the top rope to put CM Punk away. James Gibson won the ROH title. Very emotional stuff. CM Punk actually hugged James Gibson after the match. Okay, so as far as the rest of the show is really good stuff. You had the 6-man war with Jimmy Rave, Alex Shelley, Abyss facing Austin Aries, Roderick Strong, and Matt Sydal. Very underrated. That's a 4-star tag match. Then you had Loki and Jay Lethal, and another solid match. Then you had Matt Hardy and Homicide. That's another good WWE versus TNA Dream match. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out Redemption. And then you have Punk, the final chapter. I don't know why this is so underrated. Truthslayer actually did not recommend this show. I'm not really sure why. Because it's a must-have for any CM Punk fan, and I think the whole show is very underrated. You know, you had Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal versus Loki and Homicide. That crazy tag match. It was and then they did that crazy brawl at the end of the match. You had Loki double stomp Jay Lethal off the bleachers, and then you had Joe throwing all the chairs at Homicide. This is a crazy must-see match. And you actually had Spanky turning on James Gibson in the tag team title match. That was an excellent heel turn. And then you had Roderick Strong and Matt Hardy. This is Matt Hardy's best match ever, in my opinion, at least that I know of. Maybe he had something better I'm not thinking of. And this is the match that really catapulted Roderick Strong to that main event level. And you had CM Punk in this farewell match against Colt Cabana, 2 out of 3 falls. Really fun stuff. It wasn't great, but it was just a really fun 2 out of 3 falls match. I really enjoyed it. And then the aftermath with CM Punk in the ring, the most emotional farewell in ROH history. I mean, it was just really good stuff. You had Colt Cabana actually took a bottle of Pepsi and just poured it all over CM Punk, and then you had Joe was drinking a beer in the ring and everyone was out there. The whole ROH locker room was there. This is a lot more emotional than the Bryan Danielson one, in my opinion. You know, I just think that if it wasn't for CM Punk, ROH wouldn't be where it is today. I definitely think he's the most important wrestler in ROH history. He was there throughout the hard times and the scandal. Him and Samoa Joe and Homicide, really the 3 guys that were pretty much the backbone of ROH. And without a doubt, the Summer of Punk shows, must-have shows for any CM Punk fan. You watch these shows, you definitely get to see the true talent that CM Punk definitely has. I'm running out of time, but definitely check some of these shows out. All right.